Hey, Coastal Cantina. This is a video about the planetary qualifier I played in this weekend of January 10th. It was at Diversions, Puzzles, and Games, Portsmouth, North Hampshire. It was their, sorry, North Hampshire, New Hampshire. It was their first PQ this story's run. It had 46 spots open, 44 participants, and I placed second with on one green. I want to talk through the weekend and just some highlights and uh, kind of process through the day. Specifically, I want to get to a place where I can process through better um, what to do moving forward. And so, if you've seen in our Discord, I'll usually do a reflection on an event I go to, talking about things that went well, things that didn't go well, and things I'm learning moving forward. Um, I'm trying a video for this one. It's the highest I've placed for one, so wanted to do something different. Want to go over highlights. Want to go over the deck choice, why I played on one green. Um, Briefly go through my pathway of matchups for the day, learnings from the weekend, and then finish off just some takeaways. Highlights. I made finalist. I'm chasing a champion win. Chris has beat me. Ashram beat me to it. After Blake and Ben got it in season zero. Uh, and so I'm still trying to close in on a PQ win. This is the closest I've gotten so far. A few top eights, a top four, now a finalist. So that was really cool. Um, and couldn't have lost to a better person. I'll talk about that more in the coming up. Um, but that was a highlight. Super thrilled with the run, how I did. Um, Secondly, the community is amazing. Um, I started to meet a bunch of these folks in the area playing at competitive events. And so there were some people who I got to see at this event that I wasn't expecting to be there. They weren't expecting me. And so that was cool. And also, as I was doing well throughout the day, getting messages like seeing Coastal Canteen cheer me on, and then also some friends I've met with like McClunky and some of these other like I was just getting messages from people I've met in the competitive scene rooting for me. So that was really special to see as I was getting higher and higher in the ladder. And then I got to play Mike Chen, and so that was cool. He was great. It's a fun game. I'll talk about that coming up in the matchup spread. Also, the judge and the staff were fantastic. This store doesn't look like your typical card game store. They mostly sell puzzles and board games, and like some books and stuff. And then we were like down in the basement, and when I first walked in, I thought I was in the wrong place, but the place was really clean. It was well lit. It was really comfortable. Um, they, I thought there might be an AC issue when we first got there, but man, it chilled out and like we had a great time. It was a really great event. They were all super friendly, super nice. They did okay with the pricing. And then we ended up only having one judge. And so he was head judge and floor judge and all of the above. But he ran it beautifully. Uh, just handled a lot of things with a lot of professionalism and like it was great. Happy with the judging staff, and then the venue was great. Like just super thrilled. For being small and like in the basement, essentially, it was really comfortable. We had plenty of table space to play. Moving around wasn't too much of an issue. There were a couple seats that were like in some weird spots where you'd have to really wait as people like filed around and got to their seatings in between matches, but it was fine. It was also on a boardwalk downtown. So they took a lunch break after round three, and that was great. You could walk a few minutes away, had like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that to eat, depending on when your round three ended before round four. So um, it was great. Great event. A lot went well with that. The deck I played, I chose to play Hanwen Green. It has not done well As far as winning PQs, it does okay at top at making cut and topping, but it kind of came out the gate swinging in this meta with Beatle, and so a lot of um, a lot of targeted hate towards it, especially with like discard or not discard. What are they called? Upgrade removal. Uh, and so the last couple weeks it's felt a bit rough. Um, this weekend I was the only Han one green at this PQ. Not only that, I was the only Han 1 player. Most of the people that had been playing Han 1 in this area switched over to Han 2. And part of my reason to stay with this is one, I don't own all the cards to switch to a different deck yet. I'm trying to put a few other together just to have some flexibility. But currently, this is the only thing I had built and had some range for as far as owning cards. Um, and two, I think it's actually pretty well suited into what's going on in the meta. Space is big at the moment with green heroism as the dominant force in the game. Being able to combat that is pretty easily done in space. They do have Bright Hope, depending on the list, depending on what's going on, but Han one can Han one doesn't care about Bright Hope. Sometimes it's just attacking and with one attack and taking the Bright Hope out, and then space is clear, and that person's still having to data vault to try to find any other answers. So, um, space is a place that Han can win pretty easily. It's an aggro deck. Wu said this in a video he did recently, and that kind of opened the door. I was feeling a bit bad on Han1 Green, and then I heard Wu say it's an aggro deck and decided to try to play it differently um, after after thinking about it that way, and the deck kind of just opened up. It felt a lot better just thinking, put on the gas and just floor it, try to race their health down. Um, and so it's still a bit tricky because you have to decide whether you're doing resupply lines or not. Most of the time it's correct. I'm starting to think in the Han 2 ECL specifically, it might not be. But I'll talk about that later. Saboteur is also big. With how much Sentinel, like Typho's coming out, Lieutenant Charlton's coming back in for Blue Green Villainy. But specifically, Green Heroism has Obi-Wan, Typho. Some are playing Rex now. Saboteur's big. So Enfys, Depa, really good in the deck. Um, Green Hero, it's also playing the good Green Hero cards, right? It's playing Obi-Wan, it's playing Typho, it's playing Kelleran, um, Chewbacca, Ewing. Like these cards are incredible. Um, really strong. We don't need to harp on that. It Yellow's doing what Yellow does with the pumps. You got Blaster, you got Surprise Strike, and then I am running Cunning, um, and I do like having Cunning main. I think having at least the option for it is really good into these go wide metas, into Amidala, um, any of these Hantu matchups where you're able to tap down the two big things they cheated out and do something else with the other mode. Either pumping if you're not afraid of removal, maybe they'll tapped out and you can push some extra damage through, or bouncing one of their sentinels, or hoping to get lucky, make them discard a card. But I find cunning to be a huge benefit right now into a Han2 meta. And then repetition. This is the deck I have the most time with right now. Um, and so, in addition to owning the cards for it, I have a lot of practice with it. I know most of the matchups except for Han 2, because I haven't gotten to play into it as much. And I feel better into Yoda, I feel better into Anakin. And so now I need to learn Han 2 with it. But felt good with it, played it a lot. Now into the matchup spread. My round one was a Cassian Data Vault. Um, my opponent sat down and he kind of made a joke about how he was there to have fun or something like that. And it kind of sounded like he'd already given up the thought that he would win right out of the gate. And so I think that's just not how I want to approach an event personally. Um, and so I tried to be friendly um, and just say, hey man, like let's give it our best go. We can do it. And uh, I've ran into Cassian Data Vault a bit online. It can completely destroy Han. If they're able to lead Chopper in IGO space, you don't have the range to be able to race them. Uh, and they're ripping cards out of your hand the entire time. So you have to respect the Chopper turn one. Again, I didn't see his deck list before. That we're in Swiss and nothing nothing nefarious happened to where deck lists were made public in this event. Um, but if he's on Chopper, that's dangerous. Also, if he's on Chewy Pilot, that's really not great. One of the main ways that Hanwon can control a game like this, the red green heroism, where they can kind of race Han, is by controlling trades. And with the Cassian set six leader ability, being able to protect their units after they touch base, you don't get that amount of control. Now you're just racing them, and they have ways to go faster than you. Um, so all that to say, in it, at the opening hand, I'm looking to draw six cards where I have options to either go ground or space to try to eliminate whatever that threat is. If they're going chopper first, I am wanting to, if I have an Obi-Wan, I might consider just claiming if they have initiative so I can slam that Obi-Wan down and trade into that chopper with tempo going into turns two or turn three. And then if they're going space, I'm hoping to see either Fast Falcon or Blue Leader. Like if I can see any of those three cards, um, I'm probably feeling pretty good. Um, or at least Obi-Wan in or L3 even. But some kind of ground unit and any kind of space unit is what I'm looking for in an opening hand of this matchup. Um, and I think you have to respect both because they can just steal an arena and then you can't beat their unit if you're losing the initiative game. And so the question is like, who's able to put the pressure on? So once I can control an arena or I have advantage on board, this game goes over to Han one pretty well. And so I took this one 2-0, and he was a great opponent. He stayed around for most of the event. And he did have fun. He seemed to enjoy himself. And we got to talk later when I was going into cut. My round two was a Luke Data Vault. This matchup I feel pretty great into because they're really wanting to go space and Han one just does space better. And so I don't really have to worry about a ground arena here. Um, Pretty much I'm looking for blue leader or fast falcon turn one and eliminate whatever uh, unit they put down and just hope it's not like a four toughness space unit turn one. But we can win space. Pretty much we just play control for the first two turns. And then by that point, we have a bigger board and they just can't catch up. And in addition to that, I felt it was real feels bad for my opponent because I know how explosive this deck can be, but I think he got data vaulted, and so he does run pretty high on events in my opinion for what he's trying to do. I could be wrong in that. I haven't really played Luke for data vault at all. Um, but I definitely saw him play more events than units throughout both games. And so maybe that's just what he was drawing. Maybe that's what he chose. Um, but it definitely didn't help him be in a position to be able to win. Um, in this matchup, particularly, he needs to be putting units out and putting pressure on me. So um, I won that one 2-0, being able to just control space. On pilot, it's really cool in this matchup, being able to just delete chips and take no damage back. So Love Han Pilot. Third matchup was an Anakin Data Vault. This one I was really stressed about coming out of Beatle. Since Beatle, I have lost two games to Anakin Data Vault. Have not dropped a match that I know of. I might have maybe won on like Carabast or something, but this matchup feels pretty good now to me. Um, it comes down to uh, the Anakin flip, and so you just got to play the game and count the Anakin math right. Um, just keep tabs on the Anakin math and know how you're going to deal with Anakin on the flip. Having Depa and main board gives you another out with Blaster and Depa to take out Anakin. Same with Enfys. And then if they're not dropping a Typho or an Obi-Wan on the Anakin flip, like you're in great shape. You don't even have to worry about the Saboteur. Qui-Gon Jinn just one-shots Anakin. And so this one is pretty free. Um, if you can resupply turn one with a great turn two follow-up, dodging whatever arena they're in, you're fine because they're two turns away from Cham. In this matchup, I don't really like to resupply turn two unless I have great control over arena dodging. Like, let's say they tried to go space thinking I would go Falcon. Um, that's that's pretty much the best thing Han One can see is Anakin leading with Jedi Starfighter. So yeah, this matchup feels great. Just respect the Anakin flip. If you can win the Anakin flip, you win the game. Usually it's definitely not that narrow, but that's pretty much the matchup. Um, and then likewise, you got to respect their ability to delete Han. And what that means a lot of time is you're just controlling their board. And so, which is the funniest thing because that's what they're trying to do is control the board with their units. That's exactly what you want. You want to be trading units, trading units, trading units, delete Anakin, and then run away with it. Ground is where this game is won. Uh, if you try to race in space, I think that's a trap. Anakin can just flip, and if they're on Cinta, they can just delete you, the rest of your base. So this game is won in the ground. Um, my fourth round was against my new nemesis in this northeast area, Eric Hunter. He was on Hantu ECL. He's playing with Dodonna's Disciples. Currently, he is now winning our matchup spread at PQs 2-1. I took the first one in a Han 1 mirror. He took the second one in a Han 1 mirror, and now he got me with Hantu ECL, and he crushed this one 0-2. And so he had a lot more prep into the Han 2 versus Han 1 matchup than I did. And so he had some thoughts. He definitely feels like Han 1 isn't great into the Han 2 ECL game right now. And that's why he switched over to Han 2 ECL. He and his team also specifically tech Han 2 ECL against Han 1. If you're seeing, you got the Chams and Kaz's main and the Arc 170. They're still on Arc 170, and they're really looking to ECL a masterpiece to take something out. So um, they're also going heavier pilots, and so I don't remember. I know he was on Poe and Luke. It doesn't look like he was on Chewie. Um, the guy I lost to in the finals, Teddy, I think he's on Chewbacca pilot as well. And so this heavier pilot list with Hantu ECL um, gives them a lot more range into other decks. They're not really wanting to pilot against us other than Poe pilot, like turn two onto like red five or something, turn one. Um, I don't know how to beat this matchup yet. And so that's something I'm trying to figure out, but I lost 0-2. I think the game plan is to win in space. I think it's go space unit, space unit, space unit, punch face, hope to draw some pumps, surprise strike, on pilot, and then um, on the 4 resource, 5 resource turn, do double pump and maybe hope to see cunning game one if you make it to five, six resources, tap down their board, um, try to do something else and get some free swings in to finish it off. But I think that's how to win this is treat it just like Big Sabine. In my matchups into Eric, I didn't see Holler either game. Um, it was tough. He also got to chant. I saw resupply to turn game one. I He got to cham. He drew one of his two chams and was able to be on parity with me going forward. So that was tough. He had some great draws. I didn't get to go ship. And that was the same thing against Teddy. He had great draws. I didn't see Holler, but I'll talk about that later. Um, with the Hantu ECL matchup being what it is, one of the big things I'm thinking through is Queen. And so I think it could be space, and maybe try to throw a queen out. Maybe instead on turn four, like cheat a resource out. If they're jamming on four, it means they're not putting a Poe out. They're not doing a crucible. Um, and so they're probably, if we get to four resources, they're probably not playing Cham. Uh, in order to ramp with us. And so I think it's pretty fair to cheat out um, Amidala then, because if we're on actions. Um, and then I just don't know if resupply is viable. I've talked to um, Eric after the match. We talked a while, and he was saying he really likes Holler turn one or like some ship turn one, turn two resupply, but turn one resupply isn't good here, and that's what happened game. That is what happened game one. I went resupply into Typho, and he was able to cham turn two, and then just trade the cham into the Typho. So they have so many ways to delete Han on the flip. Um, I'm even wondering if you just don't even worry about flipping Han unless it helps you get initiative to be able to close the game. So I've got some thoughts. I'll talk about that later about the matchup, but it's really tough. Arc 170 is an insane card. Crucible's an insane card after Amidala. Of course, they're playing Kaz and Poe. Nemec, I don't really care about Nemec. It's going to get 3 damage in, but so is if they play Nemec, I'm allowed to do almost whatever I want in space. And that's what I want to be doing if I see the cards, right? So anywho, it's a great list. I think Con 2 ECL isn't going to go anywhere. I think everybody is saying there's going to be hate coming for Han 2 ECL. Uh, I think that's true, but I also don't think it matters. I think Hantu ECL has enough range. Currently, if you look at matchup spread, and I'll talk about this later, but if you look up at matchup spread, Hantu at its worst is 50-50 into at its worst. So the matchups where it's losing or less than, it is like 47-48. It won 47 and lost 48, right? So it's pretty much 50-50 into its worst matchups. So it's the big bad. Uh, my fifth round was into Piet. Um, this ended up being somewhat of a non-match. My opponent was really friendly and nice, and we got to talk about it afterwards. But um, he played one spaceship the whole the entirety of our match, and I got to go Fast Falcon Han Pilot and take out his MC 130 that he got to cheat in. Uh, other than that, I saw a bunch of Imperial Dark Troopers in an HK 47 and Super Laser Tech and an Outer Rim Constable that had no upgrade to remove. He just got stuck drawing ground units, and he didn't want to mulligan to try to find ramp on one of the games. The other game, he just didn't see it. He didn't see ramp either game, and I was just able to totally run away with it and race because on one can just do that. So um, it was tough. He's a great guy. It was fun listening to him talk about how he built his list because he didn't pull it from anything. He just went on to swoop ace and look at every card that Piet played that had a positive win percentage, and he just started building the deck that way. So that's how he built his deck that he played less than 20 times before coming to the PQ. And was at a 3-1 record playing me in round five. Uh, anyway, after I won that, I was 4-1. I paired into Mike Gem, aka Bobby Sapphire, for round six. Um, we were able to ID because all of Top Cut had all of the top seven places, except for two, had lost a match. Everybody else had two losses, except for two people that, or two or three that were fighting for the last seventh and eighth spot. And so uh, you had Teddy on Hantu ECL playing against Steve, where most of the teammates thought Teddy had no shot at even making top cut, even if he beat Steve, and that Teddy was just trying to defend for one of their teammates' kids who was on he was 3-1 or 4-1 or something like that. And if he won, he would make it into cut. And he was playing in Piet as well into a Yoda data vault. But the kid lost, and Teddy ended up beating Steve. Um, and so he made it as the eighth seed, and then took the event. But anywho, I was able to ID into top eight. My top eight match was against the guy. He's gone to three PQs. This is his first top cut. He was really excited, um, and seemed a little nervous, but he was on Hantu Blue. I was very nervous about this matchup. Game one, I I should not have won. But we got into a point where I had him at 24 damage on base, um, and he could and I attacked with Kelleran when he was at 17, put him at 24. It's his action. He has Luke, Anakin, Han out, um, and he needs 2 to 3 attacks. I don't remember exactly what my life was at, but he needed like 2 to 3 attacks to be able to win. Maybe more. Maybe he didn't have lethal then. I don't think he had lethal there. Yeah, but he um, he had some way to be able to get there within his deck that I knew of. I didn't know what was in his hand or not. Um, and He didn't attack with Luke in heal 3. He played Bo-Katan and put my Falcon to a 0 power, 0-1 in space. He tapped out, played Bo-Katan, put my Falcon to a 0-1. And I played, I was holding on to Cunning, played Cunning to tap down the Luke and the Anakin so he couldn't restore. He's tapped out. And I had lethal pumping the Falcon for 24 for game one. Game two, um, I got surprised by an Anakin um, early in the game. Uh, Two of his unit, I think I killed a Chirrut or something, and so when I checked his discard, Anakin wasn't live. But between that happening and him being on 5 or 6 resources, somehow he got a heroism unit in there, and I didn't catch it. And so Anakin caught me off guard. Um, and For some reason, I wasn't thinking that uh, he could deploy his Han leader and take my leader off the board. Um, so uh, so he was able to get a massive tempo swing because of my misplays there, um, and uh, and take the game. The Seeing Anakin here reminds me in the Anakin Data Vault match in game two, we both had clear boards, uh, and it was the Anakin flip. I had a big Han out, and there was the game of passing to have Big Han ready to blast her into Anakin. Um, but if Anakin had Cinta, Anakin was going to be able to defeat my Big Han and survive. So the decision I made was to blast her, the Big Han, into base, so that I could then just take initiative. Um, and that ended up meaning that he had to flip Anakin and trade Anakin into my Big Han in order to not take another 8 damage on the following turn. So that won me game two. Was controlling the board enough to where the only unit he was going to have was his leader, and I was far enough ahead. I think I had Big on the ground, and then a suited up Falcon with a pilot in space, and so um, I didn't have to sweat uh, being the aggressor into the Anakin flip. I got to put him in a position where he had to sacrifice his own Anakin to be able to have a shot at the game. So, anywho, that reminded me. I wanted to talk about that, about the Anakin Data Vault matchup. But here in the Hantu Blue, uh, he's light on space, right? So we're getting to see deck lists. He's on entrenched. I have a confiscate main, but I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. I want to go wide in space and just pump to win. Um, and then I just need to remember Anakin. I think that's the play here. Three, I did bring in the Spark of Rebellions and was able to rip an Ogdo Bogdo turn one. That put me in great position for the rest of the game. His hand was kind of set up um, around being able to put pressure on with Ogdo and then kind of follow up with some more control pieces to hold me at bay. And with him not having Ogdo, it really put me in a position to, after seeing his hand, to put just the pedal to the metal and gun it in game three in this matchup. But really nice guy. Had a great match. Um, and he's messaged me since and wants to like run some practice because he hasn't gotten to play into Han 1 a lot. And I would love to get more reps into Han 2 Blue because I imagine it's pretty strong right now in the meta. I think it's probably one of the better contenders to fight against Han 2 ECL. My top four match was against Mike Jim on Sabe TT. He kept calling it Padme TT, and I could be missing the Star Wars reference here, but uh, but it was fun. Um, I think we both knew without talking about after we looked at deck lists that this is kind of a similar favor into Han 1 because of how weenie space heavy the list is. Um, I threw away game one. I had lethal on board, and all I had to do was take off any ground unit he had. Um, and hit his base. He was able to push push into my Typho, um, and then I was at 29 damage on base, uh, and he didn't draw Daring Raid. He didn't try breaking in, but he had the ability to hit my Typho twice and do the last damage to me with actions before I could action economy lethal to him. And so, um, in trying to do the math, like with the actions and everything, I thought I saw the line where um, I could afford to hit his base once before I hit a unit, and I was wrong. If I hit any of his units on the ground, I win game one. Game two and game one took 45 minutes. It We were at n- 10 resources, 11 resources in game one because of how much trading went on. The draws were weird. I saw a 1-7 drop in 25 cards. It was a tough game, mainly because I just didn't see my big stuff. And so we were just trading, 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 trading. And he was able to take game one. Game two and three were over in half the time. Um, I saw my units and was able to just push damage really, really fast. And so it was great. Saboteur's big. If you notice, he's on breaking in main. I think it's a great call for the list that he's doing, um, to dodge all of the Sentinel and Green Hero. And the pumps are big. If you notice, he's on the arm to the teeth. That's what ended up winning in game one. That was big. Um, and game two and three, there he could have drawn better. But also, we talked a little bit about it after the match. The number one card I was concerned about him bringing in from his sideboard was Jam Communications, um, to try to be able to resupply off me early. He didn't bring it in. And his reason was, I'm not running enough events where it matters for him to hit it, is more so that's in his sideboard to counter blue removal. Um, but I'm on two Ewings, three resupplies. It wasn't worth it to him to abandon his game plan. And so the game plan for what he's trying to do, 2/1 drops, turn whatever, and go from there, um, was more important to him than the ability to hit resupply. Um, to note on that fact, game two, he didn't have a turn one play, uh, which is wild. Uh, Not a single one drop, two drop, nothing. Um, that was rough, but it was great. We had fun. It was a good match. Um, he was a joy. I've gotten to talk to him a couple times the last two events. Um, I like Mike Jim. He's great. Uh, Finals was against Teddy. Earlier that day, I ran into him at lunch, and he introduced me to an SNL skit about basketball, and that they had on shirts for Donna's disciples. And then later, I'm sitting across the table from him. And he is smashing my face in with Hantu ECL. So uh, it's a great list. He and his team had worked on this list a lot. Um, Specifically teching against Han 1. They played a ton of matchups, um, and they were ready. He said he played probably over 300 games that week, prepping for this weekend. I would say I got outworked. He had a good list. He read the meta well. He also outworked me. Like, holy cow. Well deserved win. I do think in the Hantu ECL match needs to be pressure, from Han 1. I think with them being at 25 health, if we're able to get them closer to checkmate on Hantu ECL, the matchup kind of tips in our favor. I also think turning off their ability to ECL on the ground is really strong. And they can't ECL Crucible until 6 resources. So I also think, like, even if they go wide, if we just go space and we don't resupply, I think we have a good shot at winning this one. Um, from what I've been told, if we don't see Holler and they have good draws, we probably just lose no matter what. I don't think it's that narrow. I think Han 1 has more play, but I need to figure out the matchup more. And it's possible that my deck list changes, from that. Uh, the learnings from this event, um, the event was close to home. That was really nice. I only had about a 2-hour drive. It's still long, but that was a lot better than some of the others I've been to. Um, I got to prep a lot, but I wasn't prepping for Han 2. I kind of was just rolling my punches. Like I'd played it pretty well into matchups on Carabas, but also like sometimes it just high rolled, and it was like that matchup just feels really swingy. Um, and so didn't really get to give it much thought. I didn't know how many people were going to be on it. I wasn't expecting all of the Dodana's disciples to have flipped over to it for this event. Um, but I do know that a good portion of them are still going to be here for the PQ I'm doing this upcoming Saturday. Uh, they're the KTAD guys are probably going to be out in Mesa, but um, there's a significant amount of good players that are still going to be here um, going at it. So at Great Stories. And so that's where I'll be doing this upcoming Saturday. Going to try to prep this Han 2 matchup a bit better. I think the matchup spread matters. And so seeing that Han 2's at its worst is at a 50-50 is interesting. Uh, Having an idea of what decks, if I had thought about it more and given it some more time this past week, maybe I would have been better ready for it. Maybe that could have changed things for my games against Eric and Teddy. Maybe not. I don't know. I had a game plan. I didn't see the cards I wanted. Maybe that's just how it goes. I think I probably had more control somewhere, whether that was the 50, sorry, 61 cards in my deck, or what I resourced or not. I think there's something more I could have done to give me a better shot against both of the Hantu ECL players. And then meta, just because something is up doesn't mean that that's what you should take. If I read the runes as everybody else did, I wouldn't have been on Han1 green. I was the only one and was able to run it up to second. I had an insanely lucky matchup spread there into uh, two Data Vault red green heroism decks into Piet. Um, those are really favorable for me. Maybe if those weren't as great, maybe I don't make it as far as I did. I don't know. We'll see at the next event. But my takeaways on Tuesday Menace, prep for it. Um, some of the better players are probably going to move off of it because they're expecting hate. And so they might be moving to things to hate on it. I think Towson is a point to be interested in right now. Um, all that to say, I think Hanwhan still has the juice. Um, Sulu is a ground game. It's one loss on the ground. However, I think Hanwhan can still just do it in space. Um, it can push damage and put out big units almost like no other, um, other than Onto, I guess. But prep matters for reasonable expectations. I got outworked. If I had prepped better for a wider matchup spread or things I might have expected to see and actually respected it, then maybe I would have won this one. And so, uh, whatever the results are, look at whatever prep went into it, and I think you can probably connect those dots pretty well. Uh, Things I'm thinking about for Han 1 moving forward, Amidala, maybe. I'm thinking two of. I think it's good into the Hantus, and I don't think Hantu's going anywhere. I think Amidala needs to find some room on the main board. Eric mentioned something about Lightmaker. He was thinking about Lightmaker against Hantu, um, being a 7 attack, kind of in the same place as Amidala is cheating that forward one turn um, to put that pressure out there. And so that's a big consideration. Uh, I don't own any, but I think I'm going to try it for a little bit online. Um, I'm thinking more dense three cost ships, and so maybe adding somewhere in the realm of 2 to 4 more three cost ships just to have a better chance at going ship into these Han 2 matches. Possibly more pilots. Josh Felmir, kind of thinking the same thing with me of this um, Pilot maybe, possibly um, R2 to just put a little bit better stats on some of this stuff for free. Um, I don't know. I don't know. And then lastly, do I play something different? I got this PQ coming up. I got a showdown on Thursday. Um, got some other things in the chamber. Still missing a few cards here and there for Yoda, Data Vault, or Han 2, either version, ECL or Blue. Um, Han 1's feeling fine. I think any of the others are fine as well. Um, and I think there's some French stuff out there that could be good. I got a couple of things I'm looking on that um, if I play it and I'm feeling pretty strong about it into these meta decks, like going back to the things I'm learning and my takeaways, if I see prep into these meta decks and feel like as some play, I might go something fringe, maybe like a DJ or something. But um, got a few days before the next one. I'm gonna take some time and try to flush it out, have some conversations, run some games, see how it goes. But that was the weekend. Thanks for watching, I guess. Have a good one.